Joined via Zoom by a former Deputy Attorney General, Asonaba Dapaah. I'm grateful to you, Diana, for joining us here on the ChannelOne newsroom. We're being told that the Chief Justice is trying to invoke emotions and court public sympathy. Is that what she's trying to do, in your opinion?
All right, thank you very much. I would like to send special greetings to all your viewers. And I do not think, in fact, my emotions have not been invoked by this, but clearly the allegations that have been made in the address by the Honorable Chief Justice cannot be dismissed.
Okay.
They are clearly disconcerting, and every right-thinking Ghanaian must be worried, in fact, very worried about these allegations. Of course, he told about a number of things that, and I heard you when you were investigating the Honorable former Member of Parliament, that she's not even been given copies of the petition. And the response is that, but haven't you responded to the petition? What will it detract? Why are we all assuming that we all have the same copies, same paginated copies of the petition? If there is a good faith posture to this whole proceeding under Article 146, what does it detract from the proceedings to at least cross-check minimally with her if we have the same documents we are working with in the inquiry? Is it a proper response that you have been sent a petition, you have responded to the petition, and so you should know what we are dealing with? Of course, even in any procedure. So I keep asking myself, what will it detract from the Article 146 proceedings? If for purposes of all the parties involved, the petitioners, the Honorable Chief Justice herself, the committee members, what will it detract from the Article 146 proceedings? If we're all on the same page, that indeed it is the same copies you have that we are all working with. And so we should not be dismissed of some of these issues and some of these allegations that have been raised. Of course, that's one point. But of course, for me, the focal point, and I'll come back to the venue issue that you raised, to indicate that there is nothing about triggering anybody's emotional need, but rather highlighting the very dangers of the violations of our democracy generally and the violations of fundamental human rights. And I keep telling people that fundamental human rights in Chapter 5 are equally important as they are Article 146 of the Constitution. The fundamental human rights in the Constitution are not inferior, are not subordinate to the provisions under Article 146. And so if allegations of gross violations of fundamental human rights are raised, and the response is to suggest, even remotely, that there is a superiority to Article 146 or be dismissive, then clearly you do not expect me to buy into government's response that they have everything in the good faith to actually see to due process in these proceedings. I do not want to lay much emphasis on the venue, but of course, it cannot be dismissed as well. You know, it's so coincidental that we are again in the month of June, and very soon, in some few days, we'll be celebrating 5 days, the Martyrs' Day, on 30th June. Again, for me, I don't want to dwell so much on the venue. But then you see, we could have all avoided this conversation around the venue. We could have avoided the jitters that the venue, considering the special investigative report surrounding the venue, where the planning of the murder of the judges went. We could have avoided all these judges if we had stuck to the time-honored venue that has been used. This is not the first time we are invoking Article 146 proceedings. The court facilities have always been used, and successfully. And so if a reasonable man looking at all of these, the fact that for me, then clearly, if there's no bad faith in the venue, then with all respect, there was clearly the absence of thoughtfulness in the choice of the venue. What happened to the court processes, the conference rooms that have been used in previous Article 146 proceedings in the past? Have we determined that they were not fit for purpose? I declare to you, they have been used successfully to determine. So now the whole country is now saddled, and reasonably so. Every reasonable man should have jitters around the venue. Of course, it cannot be dismissed or swept under the carpet. We have used the court facilities processes in the past on Article 146 proceedings, and we could have avoided this conversation. So my response to you is that it is not about the invocation of emotions here. The allegations of gross fundamental human rights violation, especially that for me formed the focal point of the address, should not be dismissed, and it should leave every right-thinking Ghanaian with deep worries for our democracy.
Don't you think she breached the in-camera requirement under 146 with this press conference?
But I mean, let's go back to what he said. If you look at the totality of the address, he said he's filed a judicial review application currently before the court. You know, we like to, you know, pander extremely, sometimes respectfully, to awkward conclusions about the in-camera proceedings. Perhaps this whole process has indicated to us to have a rethink about the Article 146 proceedings and even the in-camera proceeding. So what happens if there are founded allegations of fundamental human rights? Is raising in-camera proceedings a response to an allegation of violation of fundamental human rights? So how are these issues to be addressed? I think in all good faith, if you want to address some of these issues, the response, respectfully, should not be that it is an in-camera proceedings. And we say that in total, absolutely, without looking at the fact, as I've indicated, that the in-camera proceedings under Article 146 is not superior to Chapter 5 of the Fundamental Human Rights and Freedoms. It's as if they are suggesting, so my point is, you cannot be dismissive of these allegations under the guise of in-camera proceedings, and then purport to say, well, Article 146 requirement of in-camera proceedings is superior to any allegations of fundamental. They are all provisions of the Constitution, and there is no provision superior to the other in the Constitution. So please, if in all good faith, we all want to use due process, if we all want justice not only to be done, but to be manifestly seen to be done, the posture taken by the government is respectfully regretful that this Article 146 in-camera proceedings, you know, what are the violations that have been committed? Clearly, this is a very dismissive posture, which does not augur well for our democracy.
All right.
So I'm telling you that you can't invoke Article 146 in-camera proceedings and raise it as if it is superior to, for instance, Chapter 5 of the Constitution.
All right. Thank you very much, Diana. We're grateful to you for joining us.